Hello, everyone. My name is Jagan Nguyen, and today I'm going to be performing my persuasive major speech. Imagine a young boy entering high school, experiencing feelings that all of us have probably felt before: fear, expectations, and pressures. However, all without the guidance of a mentor. You can imagine that the weight carried by this young boy is heavy, yet it is likely heavier than most of us can even imagine. This is the silent reality for many men struggling with mental health today. Today, I will be discussing the reasons why mental health for young men should be talked about more. This presentation will cover three main points. First, the problems that occur when young men struggle with mental health. Second, the causes behind these struggles. And third, the solutions that may help address this issue. So, to begin, I will now discuss the problems that arise from the issue of mental health in young men. So, the effects of young men hiding their emotions is devastating, not only to themselves, but to those around them. In a research study shown by Anthony Fonseca in 2024, the expression of young men who hide their emotions often appears through violence or aggression rather than sadness. What this means is, though young men are prone to hide their frustration, their emotions do not suddenly disappear, and instead are shown through violence and other forms. Second, the act of young men silencing their emotions is key to feelings of isolation and loneliness. Shown by Vasilkiv and Claro in 2018, a majority of young men who internalize masculine norms are actually more likely to suppress their feelings because they believe uh, seeking help projects weakness. Ultimately, this causes a majority of young men to keep to themselves, and instead of asking for help, they run from it. So, my third point, the disregard of mental health has several negative long term effects, such as negatively affecting school performance, self worth, and relationships, and other important factors in one's life. Shown by Smith and others in 2024, young men are even more prone to neglect reaching out for help, even when their mental health condition may worsen. Next, we will be depicting causes of mental health in young men. So, first, cultural expectations are a main contributor to this underlying issue. According to Lee, Yoon, and Ju in 2023, the cultural expectation for men is to appear unemotional and independent. Consequently, this forces young men to feel societal pressures to fit this masculine norm. In addition to this norm is instilled early on in a young boy's life, which makes it only easier for young men to feel this pressure. Secondly, social media proves to be another cause. Social media platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and other platforms make it easy to spread a masculine agenda towards young men. Young men are often pressured into fitting these expectations, which only cause them to further hide their emotion and struggle with feelings of isolation. My third point, another cause of mental health issues found in young men is the lack of young men actually seeking the help that they may need. Again, by Lee, Yoon, and Ju in 2023, they noted that young men found that seeking help was a sign of weakness and incapacity. What this does is it creates an internal barrier that prevents young men from seeking the help that they may need. Moving on to my last main point of the speech, we will now be discussing the solutions to this problem. So, first, to combat this problem, we need to equip schools with the necessary resource to combat this issue. According to Rapi and others in 2024, they performed a research study where it showed that only 2 to 13% of schools actually performed a mental health screening among their students. So from this, we can conclude that an increase of mental health screenings among their students would help further identify the amount of young men who are in need of help before further issues arise. Secondly, social media platforms must portray a more friendly and honest agenda towards masculine norms. According to Gallagher, Tuffin, and Van Omen in 2022, they found that a majority of men who gained their knowledge of masculine norms were gained through entertainment and social media. From this, it is only appropriate for social media and entertainment platforms to demonstrate a more honest and realistic approach for young men. Finally, the more people who step up to become mentors, the more men who might be struggling with health have in order to reach out. Simply listening, stepping up, or reaching out can mean the difference between a young man's solo journey with mental health. After addressing the three main points of my speech, I'll now move on to the conclusion. Today, I explained why mental health in young men should be talked about more. The presentation discussed three main essential points: the problems that arise from mental health in young men, the cause of this issue, and the solutions to this issue. Finally, to end my speech, I want to say that to all the young men who are struggling with mental health, reach out and don't be afraid to. And to all of those that are listening to my speech who aren't dealing with this issue, reach out to those who might be in need of our help. As with each one of us supporting each other, this issue of mental health among young men can be solved. Thank you.